Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old Joe Road. Are you ready to go? On the Live Music Nation podcast, I'm your host, Jake Gill. Today we're with Candace. Candace is, gosh, give me your official title. I know you're with Fair Lady Productions, but what is your title?
I'm the executive director.
Okay.
I'm the founder and owner of the organization.
Very good. Candace, thank you for being on with us today. Give us a little background on you. Where did you grow up? And then give us your career transformation from then to now with Fair Lady.
Sure. I grew up here in Illinois in a small town called Fox Lake, which was kind of instrumental into where I am right now because it was a small town. A lot of opportunities were presented to me, and I was able to do pretty much whatever I wanted to do. And it really allowed me to build a confidence that was maybe false, but it did keep me going forward because of my confidence being strong and what I was able to do. With a bottle of wine and an old Joe Road, and you're ready to go. Where I am now. I wanted to be a professional actress, and so I went to New York and studied there and got my equity card in Dallas and went to LA and worked there. And when I came back full circle to Illinois, I was a parent and started an organization called Kids Cabaret under the Fair Lady Production umbrella, which was a children's theater. And I really worked with that for about 10 years. And that organization got so big that it was almost imperative that I find a venue. So that was almost impossible, always finding rental places. And my organization of Kids Cabaret was so big, I needed to find my own space. So we built out Center Stage Theater. It started as an empty warehouse.
Wow.
It was affordable because I could pay the bills on a warehouse rather than a retail square footage. So, but it was ugly. And we made it beautiful on the inside. It is a small venue. It only hosts about 200 people.
Okay.
But it truly is what they say, if you build it, they will come. Now, I filled about 50% of the space with the kids organization in renting the theater, but 50% was available to other people who were looking for a small, intimate space. Mine, I always like to say it was like an incubator for other theater groups that I've had playwrights here. I've had people starting their own business, improv, comedy teams. It's a collaboration of many different types of organizations that are looking for theater space.
Gotcha. Good. Candace, let's talk a little bit just about your passion. What do you enjoy most about your job?
I like hard work. I'm not afraid of it. I get my hands dirty every day. But what I'm passionate about is truly my passion is the children's theater. So growing that organization has been rewarding, and watching kids from 5 turn into 30-year-olds and having them still be a part of my life and organization is rewarding. You, as a teacher, you get to see these kids grow up because they stay with you year after year after year after year, rather than in an educational system, you only have them for the 1 year. I have them sometimes for 10, 15 years. I get to watch their progress. That's something I put all my energy into. And Center Stage, the success of having this theater and allowing other people to take their passion and watching that grow. I always say to parents, people, kids, you can't be a playwright unless you perform your work. You can't be a singer in a band unless you play for an audience. So I know how hard it is to find rental venues and how expensive it is. And we're a very affordable place for people to start that creative process.
Did you instill that process? Did you see it modeled in other areas, or was that something that you just came up with on your own?
Well, it sounds kind of bragging if I say came up with my own, but
Right, because
that mission
everything's
of
always been already done. But
just I think staying forward in what your needs are. So for instance, it's an empty warehouse and I rented it. And I rented it out for, I think our first lease was 5 years. And there's nothing but a gutted, ugly warehouse space. So the vision had to be there from someone. And I guess it was me. I feel like it must have been planted in my head when I slept or something. But
yeah,
the funny part was when I was working with architects. So in my naive state of being an actress and not anything to do with construction or planning a theater, my architect pulled out the blueprints of the warehouse and said, so what are you looking for? And I said, I thought I hired you to build a theater. He goes, I build what you asked me to build. Or I draw what you asked me to draw. And I started very naive, and I was the general contractor on the project. I had electricians, plumbers, people come up to me going, and so what type of voltage do you need in the, and I go, I don't know. So I would say to them, if this was your theater, what kind of voltage would you put into the theater? And I had a lot of great support helping me get to this spot. And I would have ideas. And I guess because I didn't have anything planned, I became more of an open mind then of the possibilities of things.
but
And
you saw the vision of the theater. Like you could paint the architect the picture, right?
I think so. And I think that came from an experience of renting other spaces. And I think performing, having a career of performing on stage, I definitely had a vision, I guess. How you're going to make a warehouse look like that, I wasn't sure. But each step of the way, you just, it was building blocks. It started with an empty space and we add one block and we keep building upon it from that.
Yeah,
I got a
no.
lot of donations. I don't think people should be afraid of that. I think a lot of times people put the price tag first and then they go really big. And now we've got a $50,000 to $100,000 in debt. What do I do? And now I got to get people. And I did it the opposite. I came up with this much budget and I just kept throwing money at it and allowing it to build on its own. So by the time we opened, I was pretty self-sustaining and I started this without debt. I've seen people do it the other way, which is taking out loans and wanting it to be huge before they even had clientele to be that. And it doesn't mean it won't work. It just means you'll lose some more hair over that.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Hey, let's have some fun for a little bit here since we've been talking about the theater. Wait, you've had a lifetime in theater. What is the number one production? What's the best production you've ever seen in your life?
Well, the best production here or outside the world?
Anywhere.
Well, I can tell you the most amazing thing that happened to me here.
Okay.
Which shouldn't happen. And so if you want to think that there's another force out there in the world, this one has to be out of that. I get a phone call. Actually, my daughter got the call and said, I don't know, somebody wants to rent the theater, Ed Asner or something like that. I'm like, Ed Asner? And she's like, I don't know, that's what his name is, Ed Asner. His daughter's calling, Liza Asner. And I went, yeah, that's got to be like not Ed Asner, if you know who he is.
Yeah.
I assume you do. So I called back and it was Ed Asner.
Wow.
Wanting to rent our space because he was going on tour with this brand new show, this theater show that he was doing, and needed small venues across the country. And for whatever reason, he Googled us and he looked at us. And I told my daughter when she got off the phone, I don't care what you do. I don't care what it costs us. I want him in here. And he came. Oh. I spent a week with Ed Asner. We did the show. I got to be on stage with him. I performed with him. And it was probably a highlight of my life.
Oh,
and
sure.
Yeah, it was amazing. And he was amazing something to learn from a guest artist to other guest artists. This man at 90 would meet every single person in the theater after the show, shake their hands, take pictures with them. Was so Midwest, you can't even believe it. This man was raised in Kansas City, Missouri, and understood that Midwest value, and he gave it back to every single patron. And he had to have been tired. One day, I think the Saturday, he did 2 shows. So having him around that week, that was, I don't think I could ever top that. And if you ask me to, dead or alive, which person I would have back, I would have Ed back.
Oh, there you go. You answered the final question of the day. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, cool. Kandi, how do people find out more about your theater and your school and everything that entails?
Well, the best thing, you can call me and I'll talk. We don't have to be on Zoom, but I can talk to you. But you can go online, centerstage-theater.com or kidscabaret.com. If you Google theaters in Illinois, I'm sure I'll come up.
Very cool. Very cool. Kandi, thank you for being on with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You bet.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of